Done is definitely better than perfect. As I look at the back of my head when I'm on the screen and can see that some of my hair is standing up. I think we just got to go back to the raw No Rest for the Vivid podcasts. I'm recording, as you can see, in a different location today if you've missed the last episode, and I've just got loads of podcasts in my head and they all need to come out because just following my intuition that these episodes need to go out. I am in a state of change and up leveling, yeah. And I want to share with you what's going on in real time because, I'm still a human being, and I think it's really important to know that people that you are following and listening to their podcasts are just the same as you. I'm a little bit further ahead, but I'm exactly the same. So I just wanted to share. Yeah, I'm on the fly. I keep bloody noticing my hair though. The screen is right there. Anyway, how you doing today, my love? I want you to talk today about Alex Cooper and the Call Her Daddy podcast. Have you listened to it? Oh, before I get going on that, my name is Claire Hill. If you're new around here, I'm a self-belief and business coach, founder of the Vivid Business Club and host of this podcast. And it is here to just talk rawly about running a business because running a business is tough, but so are you. I'm here to remind you of that. If you haven't yet, go and subscribe or follow so that you get our episodes straight. Well, my episodes. I say our because the wonderful Hannah, who's my assistant, does the editing for me. And she does put a lot of work into this podcast. So it is hers too. I just wanted to, put it, I've no idea what I'm saying. Subscribe or follow. We love it. We honestly appreciate and count every single one of them. So I'm hoping the sound's all right for you. I've just recorded one podcast and it sounded all right. So fingers crossed. So what was I talking about? Alex Cooper. So Alex Cooper is the founder and host of Call Her Daddy podcast. And I've never actually listened to it. It was only recently that I discovered it because I saw a clip of her talking to Ed Sheeran. And I really love Ed Sheeran. So anything where he's talking, I think he's a really interesting guy. If you haven't already watched his documentary on Disney Plus, that is a really good episode. Really good episode. So what was I saying? What was I saying? So I listened to her episode and she was doing a podcast tour and I really want to do a podcast tour. So she's doing a podcast tour. She's having a documentary shown about her and she's got millions and millions of downloads and her podcast is huge. And the reason it became huge was because of the salaciousness of it when it first started. And I mean, it's moved and diversified and developed and grown up. I think, well, maybe not grown up. That's probably wrong because women, we should talk about sex if we want to talk about sex. Like I am all for what the beginning of that podcast journey was, but now she's had some really amazing guests on the podcast, and I saw some clips the other day of her talking to Charlize Theron about being the single mum, and so she I mean that's just one of the topics that she's spoken about. So she's had some really 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 amazing people on there. But this documentary was talking about how she created the podcast and her journey. She had something quite difficult happen to her while she was at college. But up until that point, and it's not like, so I'm going to just be really raw and vulnerable with you. Because again, this is a mindset shift. I was watching thinking, yeah, it's all right for you. Now, that's not me actually thinking like that. Remember, it's my doubt going, being bitter and envious of what other people have. Because the thing with Alex Cooper, that's what triggered it, was the fact that her mum and dad are frigging amazing. She came from a beautiful home, beautiful family, was able to have all this access to, I suppose, equipment and equipment, is that the right word? I suppose she just had the opportunity to entertain her hobbies. And she was talking this bit about, like, when she was at school, she was bullied because she's naturally redheaded and I mean, gorgeous girl, like strawberry blonde, and she was bullied by boys, and they were really horrible to her and called her ugly and said she was skinny and all of this. And then when she went home, she was able to be at home and be herself. And it was just so wonderful to just go home and have that. How, if you're new around here, and you don't know my story, my home life was not like that. My dad passed away when I was 8. I had 2 younger sisters and a brother living at home, and my mum suffered with some mental health challenges. So I was her young carer from the day he died when I was 8. She was also pregnant with my brother that was there. So 2 sisters and my brother she was pregnant with. And I had lots of health issues, which were down to toxic stress of what was going on at home. It just wasn't nice. I feel, I've got to say that my mum did do her best. But the best really didn't do enough for us, which I'm trying to say it with as much kindness as possible. I do have a quite difficult relationship with my mum. And I was bullied at school because I was the kid that had the holes in the clothes, didn't have the clean uniform. I wasn't very clean. We didn't have much money to like heat the bath. And, I really struggled at school. The one thing that I could escape with was the fact that I could read books, and I loved reading, I loved writing, and I loved being creative when I could. I just didn't have the same opportunity to explore hobbies and fun. Like, I had a family to look after as a kid, going home. And so straight away, I was just like, it's all right for you. And then when she created this podcast, she had all this support. Like, I mean, I've had so much support for this podcast, but nobody, not really from any of my like, I'm going to give a shout out to Shammer and Bex, who are avid listeners of my podcast. If you are one of my friends and you do listen, let me know. But I think that's the only 2 people I know that actually listen, which is fine. I think my client Heather listens, and Alex. I'm trying to think of the people that sometimes I meet people and they go, I was listening to your podcast the other day, and I'm like, Mitch. I'm going to shout out Mitch. Legend. So yeah, there's people out there that, I know listen, but as in my family and stuff, no one's ever gone, right, okay, I want to help you make this dream a reality. What can we do that's like, related? And I'm not saying that that happens for everybody. I don't think it does. But this is why I created the Vivid Business Club. One thing that came out of that documentary about Alex was that she said she had a safe space to be truly herself. And I didn't have that until I met my husband when I was 27. And then I don't think I really did that properly until I left teaching, or like really allowed myself. No, I did. But that's why I created the Vivid Business Club, because it is a completely open, wonderful space, inclusive space where people get to feel safe enough to be who they truly are. And I don't think there's no value on that. There's not a price point that you can put on being able to unapologetically share your doubts and know that we've got you, as well as your dreams. But Alex had that at home. I work really hard, and I want my son Jackson to have that space. And I think that when you don't have it, it's so noticeable when you are in it, when you are in one. And yeah, I just think it's just so important. But this podcast episode is about that, about finding a space that you can be unapologetically you, and you feel safe enough to do that. The Vivid Business Club is that space for me and my clients. You are welcome to join. If you want to come and try it out, follow the link in the show notes. Like, the doors are open. That's one thing. Changing the model of the Vivid Business Club is really important to me, because I think when you're ready for change, you don't want to be waiting about. You want that change, so you can join whenever you want. But what's But what this podcast was really about was the mindset shift of me. And even though I've had this before, was looking at myself and thinking, I know I started minus 80 or whatever. Here's the baseline. I started below everybody else's baseline with my life and how I saw myself and how I saw my worth. But I can't wish for anything else, even though my doubt tells me, oh, you're behind, if only it's all right for them, but I have to be grateful for it, because the tenacity and resilience and determination I have because of that is priceless. Like, I have a drive in me that probably would outdrive Alex Cooper, even though, do you know what? One day I'm going to meet her and be like, you are an absolute warrior. She's a warrior, obviously. I mean, when you watch the documentary, it's on Disney Plus. Definitely watch it. It's brilliant. What she's done for podcast women, female hosts, and, probably opened up the doors for it to be all right for me to do this podcast, but I think if you ever feel behind, you have to remember that everything happens exactly as it should. That story of mine, no matter how painful, and the story of yours, however painful, is part of your story, but does not define how it continues. This is the warrior spirit. This is you being that true warrior. And I know you're listening to this. You are a warrior. You're all warriors. I need to call you warriors more. I need to do that, because you are warriors listening to this podcast. There's no way that you're not. You are not a warrior, because this podcast is different to other business podcasts, because we don't flower it up. I don't flower it up. This is real, honest vulnerability here that sometimes I wish in my head, my doubt tells me that things should be different. It's all right for them. But this is what I have, and I get to spin it, and I get to see it as a huge strength, and I get to step into that warrior spirit that I have because of it. Because how many more people in my situation, how many more people do I get to help because of that? How many more people do you get to reach with your business when you really step into that authority? Fuck tons more. That's why. So everything happens exactly as it should. I am grateful for that, because it has made me who I am, but it does not define the rest of me. It does not define the rest of my story and how my dreams unfold. Just because I wasn't seen as worthy then, I am. I've got the power. You can't, it's not your fault. It's not my fault of what happened to me, but it's my fault if I don't change it. And I am, and I have. So if you are looking for a safe space to be truly you and be your most vivid self running your business, get involved with the Vivid Business Club. Send me a message, send me a voice note. I love a voice note. Tell me where you're at. Tell me what challenges you're facing. Tell me if you've ever resonated with that "it's all right for them" phrase, because I've got you, babe. Or man, dude, if you listen to this. I met a really fantastic guy recently, called Guy, actually. And he gave me so much praise for the podcast. I'm pretty sure he listens. If you're listening, Guy, tell me if you listen to this episode. But I just think it's really important to, I'm just so grateful for you listening. I'm so grateful that you've chosen to put my voice in your ears. And I want to know where you're at, because I got you. Okay. Have a wonderful rest of your day. If you haven't already, subscribe and follow, because that does loads for the algorithm, for the gram. And yeah, take care of yourself. Don't forget to protect your energy. You need it even more when you're a warrior. See you soon. Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother, Phil Vick.